Hi, my name is Ashley Riley. This video entitled Autism Unlocking a Mystery is for Fort Hays State University Special Education for Leadership class for the spring 2015 semester. What is autism? Autism is an impairment in social interaction, an impairment in verbal and nonverbal communication, as well as restricted, repetitive, and stereotype patterns of behaviors. This so-called triad summarizes the difficulties of the autistic child, but the actual manifestation of these can vary. You may see one before the other two, and they may start out in low intensity and gradually increase. The clinical definition of autism is listed here. With the May publication of the DSM-5 diagnostic manual, all autism disorders were merged into one umbrella as a diagnosis of autism spectrum disorder. Previously, these diagnoses were recognized as distinct subtypes, including autistic disorder, childhood disintegrative disorder, and pervasive development disorder, not otherwise specified, and Asperger syndrome. Signs and symptoms. There is no intellectual testing or medical testing such as blood work or a brain scan that can diagnose autism. Lots of times you see characteristics that are characterized by a lack of social interaction, communication, kind of that triad that we've seen there in one of the first slides. These are red flag signs of autism. It is important to note that if your child does exhibit some of these signs or symptoms, it does not mean that your child has autism. Only a doctor can make a diagnosis of autism. Some of the red flag signs are no big smiles or other signs of joyful expressions by 6 months or after, no babbling by 12 months, no words by 16 months, and no meaningful two-word phrases that are produced on their own. Imitating or repeating words and other phrases are not included. Echolalia is the repetition. So if you're saying something and the child keeps repeating a word or the words that you're saying. There's some screening and diagnosis information. If you suspect that your child might be autistic, you should take your concerns to your child's physicians or to the school staff. They can direct you to the right people to investigate your concerns further in order to provide your child with a diagnosis, or if they don't have autism, if they end up not being diagnosed with autism, they can direct them to a specialist or someone who might be able to help. Perhaps that they do have a lack of social skills, but it doesn't necessarily mean they're autistic. There's things that you could do at home, specialists you could go to. The same thing, if they have a lack of communication, they provide speech language services at schools, and they also provide those at other departments or buildings or centers outside of the schools. So some of the things that the classroom teacher can do would be prompting, a close proximity with a verbal reminder, such as a gentle, Josh, look at me, can work real well. However, even if the student is not looking directly at the teacher should know that he or she still may be listening. Checking frequently for understanding can give the teacher assurance that the student is in fact paying attention. Prompting, modeling, showing the student to place their folder in the basket when they come to class. Gathering supplies to complete an assignment, maybe giving them the steps necessary to complete an art project or an assignment. You may need picture cards on their desk that they can put up there that they can see visually on their desk to know that this step is going to be first, second, third, and so on. Another thing that they can do is provide the student with visual aids, kind of what we were just talking about. And you can do this for their daily routine or for visual instructions or steps for classroom activities or assignments. So if you see on here, there's one picture for their schedule of the day, and then there is another. This may be something you see in the bathroom for a student with autism, the instructions on how to use the bathroom. So you want to make sure you make eye contact, like I was saying. Even if the student is not looking, that doesn't mean that they're not listening. Sometimes, like in this picture, the teacher's giving the student a high five, so the student is maybe watching their hands go together, but they're also, making that brief point of contact with you. So it's important. The autistic child likes movement, so if you can provide a movement when you're wanting that eye contact, that would definitely help out. Reinforcers. Teachers may reinforce a non-preferred activity with a preferred activity, which is contingent upon completion of the task. Favorite edibles, the iPad, tablet, computer may be used as reinforcers, or other toys or games, kind of what you see here in this picture. Reinforcer is a critical strategy in creating and maintaining student motivation. So, it may be for one student, that student may be able to work for 5 minutes before they need to be given the reinforcer, whereas another student with autism may be only able to do one thing, point to the letter A, and then they automatically need that reinforcer. It just depends on the severity, and that's why autism is a spectrum disorder. It varies in intensities. You may hear me say that a lot during this video, but it is definitely an important thing to remember. What you may see one child with autism do may not be what works with another child with autism. So, varying response modes. This is another useful thing that special education teachers can do. Text-to-speech software allows students who may not be able to communicate verbally to type out their words and have the computer read it. It also works the opposite way. If a student is able to communicate but not necessarily have the fine motor coordination to write out what they want to say, they can speak it to the computer and then the computer would type it out. Accommodations and modifications. Just simply adjusting the number of items the student must complete may be helpful, such as requiring the student to complete only the even numbers on a math activity. Some students may require smaller steps, frequent breaks, and the increased use of that reinforcer we just talked about, while some other students may work on every problem of a math activity. Another student may be only able to count to 5 before needing their reinforcer, and like I said, I'll repeat it several times throughout this video, every student will be different. And here's a few examples of modifications and accommodations that you could use for students with autism. One-on-one support, with a para or a teacher assistant, or from the special education teacher themselves, or a peer. Students with autism may require additional support from peers or staff. Some students with autism spectrum disorder require constant one-on-one support from a paraprofessional or other staff member. Some students with autism require extensive support, while others only require minimal support. Again, it's a spectrum disorder. Some students with autism are going to require a constant one-on-one, where others may be able to function throughout their day with little to no support. So it's just an important thing to remember that all students with autism are going to vary, and what needs that they have that need to be met. The classroom layout. Modifying the student's environment so that he or she can learn successfully is something else that the special education teacher can do. While socialization is very important with students with autism, there may be times throughout the day that the teacher and student can work one-on-one in a quiet place with no distractions in order to keep the student focused. If you look here at this picture of a classroom, this may be an ideal classroom and is not available to every teacher out there. If you notice the desks, there's shelves on each side so that each student has their own work items and their own space. It keeps them not as distracted by everything else going on around them. They can't necessarily see the person next to them or the person in front of them. If they have a one-on-one support provider or therapist, this provides an ideal location for them to be able to do those things with one another so that they can meet their needs. Teaching social skills. It may be helpful to remember that every behavior is an attempt at a communication, but if the student has no functional language or is nonverbal, it is imperative that teachers use nonverbal communication such as pairing gestures and speech or pointing to the science textbook in the student's desk while asking the student to get things out. Teachers can always supervise social interactions with other students, whether that other student that they're practicing the social interactions with has autism or not. Teachers and staff can offer valuable support by providing specific social rules and by providing positive reinforcement for successful social interactions. Another thing that the teacher can do for communication is provide them, if you notice the picture on the top right is of a pod book. The bottom picture is from an app called ProLoQuo2Go on the iPad, and then the picture on the top left that has the big picture of I want would be maybe it's just printed out in a laminated card, and this is used with the student so that they can communicate some of their basic needs and say yes or no. So, and if you notice down there on the bottom, the happy face and the smiley face and the sad face are actually in Spanish, I believe. So you can also adapt that to different languages as well if you need. Applied behavior analysis. It is a scientifically validated approach to understanding behavior and how it is affected by the environment. And in this context, behavior refers to actions and skills. Environment includes any influence, physical or social, that might change or be changed by one's behavior. On a practical level, the principles and methods of behavior analysis have helped many different kinds of learners acquire many different skills, from a healthier lifestyle to the mastery of a new language. I was able to participate in this training through KU Medical Center, and here's a short little video on it that we can watch. It's an example of what an ABA session may look like.
What are we working for? M&M's. Say I am looking for M&M's. All right. Drew, touch. Look at me. Good boy. Look at my eyes. 1, 2, 3. Good looking. Touch something that you wear. Wear. Touch something that you eat. Oh, good touch. Good. What do you eat? You eat? Cookies. Cookies. Good job. Drew, show me drinking. What are you doing? Drinking. Say, I'm drinking. I'm drinking. What are you doing? I'm drinking. Good job. Show me eating. What are you doing? I eat. You are eating. Good job. Oh, you do. Let's count them.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Can I have? Oh, you found the only Skittle. Good job. There you go.
So that there was an example of an applied behavior analysis session. So there was a predetermined program that therapist was to follow. She may have been the autism provider that was able to make that plan. There's a lot more that goes into applied behavior analysis. I was able to attend a training through KU Medical Center on applied behavior analysis that was really eye-opening and seen a lot of good things come out of it. So I hope to apply that into my own classroom here in the future with any students that I get that may be on the spectrum and even students who aren't. So this will conclude part 1, and then we will move on to part 2.